And we are live. Hit it, Tom.
Hey, oh my God, if we're live, it must be Friday. The BBE is live.
Nottingham ale, boys, Nottingham ale, no liquor on earth is like Nottingham ale. Nottingham ale, boys, Nottingham ale, no liquor on earth is like Nottingham ale. Nottingham ale, boys, Nottingham ale, no liquor on earth is like Nottingham ale. Nottingham ale, boys, Nottingham ale, no liquor on earth is like Nottingham ale.
And thanks so much for joining us on this Friday. Like most Fridays, the BBE is live with fun trivia, fun facts, and all kinds of embarrassing moments where we show that we don't actually know anything about music. This is a slightly different show than normal, so a few technical difficulties, so just bear with us. But my name is Thomas Allen. I am one of the directors of the BBE and countertenor and singer here in Chicago.
And I'm Leanne Dale Ragusa. I'm the resident flute player. I'm another director of the BBE, and I'm streaming to you from Bloomington, Indiana.
And I am yet another one of the directors of the BBE, resident violinist, and today have been entrusted with the controls of the BBE live show, which is a little scary. But
You'll be fine.
Yes, right. In the spirit of, technology and all that is, getting out of the comfort zone, all that good stuff. But anyway, I am more thrilled to actually talk about and introduce Allison Monroe, who is joining us today for BB Live. She's streaming in from Cleveland.
Yep, Cleveland.
And, what is really awesome about Allison is that she plays pretty much anything that has strings and sits on the shoulder with a bow. So we're going to be talking a lot about various violin, viola, violin ancestors, all that good stuff today. So thank you, Allison, for joining us.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me. It's going to be really fun.
Sweet.
All right. Well, are you ready to start playing a game, Allison?
I guess so. I'm here.
All right. Well, the first game is the Sordid Lives of Composers. So how it works is I will read a paragraph about a composer. You'll have 4 multiple choice answers. But after I'm done reading, there will be a little thinking music, kind of like Jeopardy. So you can think about what you might think the answer is or who the answer is not. But since we're having a little bit of technical difficulty, I'm going to read the multiple choice answers first so you can think about them. Okay. So your 4 options for question 1 are Marco Ussolini, Antonio Vivaldi, Heinrich Bieber, or Carlo Farina. Got those? There'll be a quiz at the end, see if you remember them. No, just kidding. I'll read them again.
I'm writing them down. I'm writing them down. So.
Oh, that's so smart. Maybe I should do that.
Do you want them again? I can give them to you again if you'd like.
I'm okay. Thomas looks like he wants them.
Okay. Marco Ussolini. Okay. Antonio Vivaldi. Heinrich Bieber, or Carlo Farina. Have you all heard of these composers?
Yes.
I've not heard
I'm with you, Thomas.
Ussolino. Who the heck is that?
Ussolini.
Ussolini.
Okay. Uccellini.
Uccellini.
We're off to a great start.
Uccellini. Yeah.
Uccellini. I'm good with Uccellini. Okay. Yes.
Okay. I'm just really bad. I butcher all these things because I don't speak that language. Sorry. Okay. So moving right along, this violinist and composer made his interesting and inventive mark on the history of violin virtuosity. He was like a little mad scientist pushing the limits of the instrument. As a violinist, his achievements include further development of violin technique. He was able to reach 6th and 7th positions, and his left hand and bowing techniques were far more advanced than those of contemporary Italian composers. As a composer, he excelled at counterpoint, frequently writing fully polyphonic textures with much use of multiple stops. His violin output reflects the merged ecclesiastical and temporal authorities to which he answered, constantly mixing sacred themes with the secular genre of the sonata. In one sonata, he uses the violin to depict different animal sounds. In addition to the obligatory cuckoo and nightingale, he has the violin cluck like a hen, crow like a rooster, and burble like a quail. And for good measure, he also throws in a frog and a cat. Bonus, if you know what sonata this was. Would you like to hear the composers one last time?
Am I guessing with you guys or am I on my own here?
Oh, you'll guess.
Oh,
Yeah.
They
Okay.
also help and guess. But would
Okay.
you like them again, or are you?
I mean, I feel pretty confident in Bieber.
Yeah.
Oh,
And
we
I-
don't even need thinking music. That's great.
Great. Excellent.
I think, is it Sonata Representativa?
You got it.
Yay! Yay! Off to a good start.
I know, right? I tried to pick things that maybe you knew
Yeah, thanks.
or have played, hopefully.
I
Yeah,
haven't
And I
actually
think
played that
I
one.
used it because didn't Keoway play this on a recital here in Chicago?
Yep.
And that was the first time I heard it. I thought it was so cool. So
It is a cool
Cool.
piece.
It is.
Well, we're off to a good start. So, the
Cool.
question number 2, these are your multiple choice answers. And I hope you've heard of all of these composers. Gregor Joseph Werner, Wolf Jakob Laufensteiner, Florian Leopold Gassmann, and Johann Georg Albrechtsberger. Have you heard of these composers?
Some
I, for
of
one,
them.
have not heard of all of them.
Yeah, no, I haven't either. I know Albrechtsberger vaguely, but the others I don't know.
Okay. Well, they are all in fact composers. I didn't make any of these up. I promise.
she had to reach
all-
into into the back part of the grout and stole the history text to find these people.
Seriously.
I did have to do that. All right. So this Austrian composer of the Baroque period is best known as the predecessor of Joseph Haydn as the Kapellmeister of the Esterházy family. Few of his works survive, and he is mostly remembered for his troubled relationship with Haydn. He wrote a cappella masses in a strict contrapuntal style, as well as church music with instrumental accompaniment and symphonies. As an employee of the Esterházy family, this composer was able to publish very little, and of those works that did see print, includes his set of 12 orchestral suites depicting the 12 months of the year, titled The New and Very Curious Musical Instrument Calendar. It's a very original title. These suites were for 2 violins and continuo. The suite for the month of April, which we are in, includes movements titled Spring, The Shepherd Playing, The Changeable April Weather, and The Frog Screeching. So
That's what they do.
they screech, right? So just again, so you remember who the composers were, you have Gregor Joseph Werner, Wolf Jakob Laufensteiner, Florian Leopold Gassmann, or Johann Georg Albrechtsberger. And here is a little thinking music.
Okay, definitely need it.
Do you have any ideas?
Because he's the only one I've heard of, I want to say Albrechtsberger, but I have no idea. Do you guys have advice?
I just like the name Laufensteiner. I think that's a great one.
I thought you would go that way. Well, actually, Thomas, it looks like your mom suggested that Laufensteiner was the answer.
Oh, excellent.
Yeah, I actually don't even really remember the order of the names. I'm gonna just guess B because B for BBE.
That was
That's
Laufensteiner.
That's Laufensteiner. So,
Man, you're both going with Laufensteiner? Maybe I should switch.
You're probably right.
I don't know. I'm gonna stick with Albrechtsberger. We'll just.
You know how like all German names kind of sound the same? Like that's how like all of them just sound the same. To
They
me.
all kind of sound like you're coughing something up.
Yeah.
pretty much. Well, the answer is A, which is Gregor Werner.
No!
I didn't know this, but if you ever need to program something for any month of the year, he has these
Wow.
12 suites. So
That's so good
That's-
to know.
I know,
Very
right?
interesting.
So,
Yeah.
all right. Well, see, not bad. The next one, Thomas, you might have a head up on us because it's about an opera. Or maybe not. Who knows?
I was listening. Don't bet on that one. Let's try.
So your multiple choice answers are Johann Christoph Pepusch, Henry Purcell, Domenico Scarlatti, or George Frederick Handel. This composer wrote the second most successful opera in early 18th century London. It had nearly 60 performances. Oh, you probably want to know what the opera was, right? Pyrrhus and Demetrius. It had nearly 60 performances, and the opera marked the London debut of castrato Niccolò Grimaldi. In this opera, the composer wrote an elegant aria, Le Violette, or The Violets. The dainty accompaniment paints the perfect picture of the delicate flowers described in the text. Dewy, fragrant, pretty violets, you are shameful, half hidden among the leaves, and scolding my cravings that are too ambitious. Who was this composer that wrote about springtime violets? Was it Pepusch, Purcell, Scarlatti, or Handel? But first, some thinking music. Any guesses?
I'm feeling Pepusch currently.
That's what I was feeling too.
Why are you feeling papoosh?
Well, I know.
Pepusch.
I've like heard his name. I know he's an opera composer, and he might have been working in England. I don't remember, but it's too late for Purcell, and I haven't heard of it as being Handel, so I feel like I don't know. There's a lot of Handel to know, but it doesn't sound familiar to me as Handel. And Scarlatti was the other one.
Yeah, Scarlatti.
Correct.
What was the name of the opera one more time?
Pyrrhus and Demetrius.
Yeah.
That doesn't feel like a very Handel opera. And Purcell didn't really write operas generally, especially not in Italian.
Yeah.
Yeah, the only
Maybe you should go with the Italian.
Like
Scarlatti.
Scarlatti.
Scarlatti was in London. Yeah.
But like the second most popular opera, that sounds crazy.
It does
Okay.
sound crazy.
I think it's based on how many performances. That's how they decided that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I
Okay.
guess I could have reworded that.
Oh,
I'm
that's
going to guess Scarlatti.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
fine.
Especially since you winked like that.
I know. I feel like that's.
I just had something in my eye. I'm sorry.
Oh.
Right.
Well, for no reason at all, I'm gonna also pick Scarlatti.
Yeah. I'm going to go Team Scarlatti as well.
Oh my gosh, you got it right.
Yes.
Yes.
Excellent.
I didn't know this. I was trying to find things about springtime and I didn't know this existed. So
Me neither.
I'm right there. I'm right there with you.
I mean, Allison, you have one up on me. I was like, I've never heard of papoosh until like literally just like a minute ago. So like, this is pretty exciting, right?
Also,
So.
that's like an awesome name. It's a really.
It's a verb too, or no? You are feeling papoosh. It is
It's
a
an adjective.
adjective. Yes, adjective.
Yes.
That too.
Could be an affect for sure. Yes.
Well, good job, Allison. You got 2 correct.
Woo!
Yes,
With
yeah.
no help.
I know.
Excellent. Cool. Does that mean, are we on to the second game that we have for you today?
Ooh.
I think we are.
Okay, cool. So this game is called Two Truths and a Lie. And this first, I'm going to read 3 short little statements or batch. This is going to be even more confusing without the images. All right, but this is going to be really fun. So this is centering around the instrument, the rebec. So here we are. First statement. The character Hugh Rebec from Shakespeare's Romeo and Juliet was one of the 3 named musicians at Juliet's wedding. He may have been named after that Rebec. Second story. 20th century author Ellis Peters writes about a minstrel and rebec player named Lilywin who is accused of murder in her murder mystery novel entitled The Sanctuary Sparrow. And finally, the third statement. The bowl or body of the rebec is typically carved from one piece of wood. This is modeled after the punch bowl described in Oliver Wendell Holmes' poem, On Lending a Punch Bowl. So, which story do you think is the lie? And now for a little thinking music.
Okay.
Okay. The last one started off good and then took a terrible turn at the end. So there's no way that can be right. Oliver Wendell Holmes has nothing to do with the Rebek. And I know that The Sanctuary Sparrow, I've read that book. I love Ellis Peters. And I remember the character Lily Wed. So I know that's true. So I'm going with the third one's the lie.
I'm in.
I'll go with me too.
Excellent. Well, you guys, that is absolutely right. Oliver
Yay!
has nothing to do with the Rebek. Just the punch bowl. That's it. Okay. Awesome. Okay, this next batch of stories. That's really cool. I didn't realize you had read those stories.
They're so good.
Yeah, right. I was thinking maybe I should read these stories. These sound really cool. So
they're very fun.
I love murder mystery stuff. So and we have a murder mystery writer right here in Chicago, Sarah Paretsky.
Cool.
Shout out to you. One of I've read one of her first novels that she wrote, which was really cool. All right. The next batch. This is number 2, centered around the vielle. So, all right, here's statement number 1. The vielle, also known as the fiddle, or this word is spelled Viuola. I'm not going to attempt to pronounce that. Gets its name from the root word fiddle. The second statement, although the vielle was generally viewed as a quiet indoor instrument, King Ottokar II of Bohemia used the vielle alongside the trumpets as a call to battle instrument during the War of the Burgundian Succession. And then the final statement, the vielle was a favored instrument among the nobility of the 12th century, so much so that the Count of Forcalquier, France depicted himself on one side of his seal playing the vielle, and then on the other side of his seal with him on horseback with sword and shield. So, which story do you think is the lie? And now for a little thinking music.
Okay. So the last one is believable. I've never heard it, but it's totally believable. The middle one, can you read it again?
Yeah, here's the middle one. Although the vielle was viewed generally as a quiet indoor instrument, King Ottokar II of Bohemia used the vielle alongside the trumpet as a call to battle instrument during the War of the Burgundian Succession.
So that seems highly unlikely. Like, in what situation can a vielle stand up to a trumpet?
Trumpet.
I'm gonna go with that's the lie.
Excellent. All right, Leanne Thomas.
That's what I was gonna pick.
I'm with the master. Yep.
All right. And Allison, you are correct. That
Yay!
is true. Yes.
I've played vielle with a shawm before. It does not go well. I'm just like completely not hearable at all. It doesn't work.
Exactly. Let's throw those outdoor conditions, would knock the thing right out of tune. So,
Yeah.
I had some thoughts about the shawm just to begin with, so we'll just leave that aside and move on.
Excellent. We can talk more about the shawm in just a bit. We have one more batch of statements here. All right, number 3. So here's the first statement. One of the first appearances of the violin in visual art appears in a painting by Gaudenzio Ferrari entitled Madonna of the Orange Trees. The second statement, Andrea Amati built a set of 38 stringed instruments for Catherine de' Medici, the Queen of France, in 1560. 3 years later, the set was stolen from her by her own son, Charles IX of France. And then the third statement, Gasparo da Salo was known as one of the earliest violin makers and a contemporary of the brothers Amati, who were sons of Andrea Amati. He was also a virtuosic bass player. And so, which story is the lie? And here is a little thinking music.
All right, come on, Allison. 3 for 3.
Okay,
Let's do it.
this one is harder. So number 1 is definitely true. 100%. It's like 1503 or something. Number 2 is like he definitely made instruments for Charles, but I don't remember the bit about him making them for Catherine and then him stealing them. That sounds made up to me. But then, what was the third one again?
The third
Oh,
one,
Gasparo da Salo.
Da Salo, yeah, known as one of the earliest violin makers and a contemporary of the brothers Amati, who were the sons of Andrea Amati. He is also a virtuosic bass player.
Yeah, I mean, that's totally possible. I don't remember when his dates are. I think I'm going to say number 2 because the bit about him stealing them just seems out of character. But I don't know. You guys shouldn't trust me.
No, B is the second one is B, and B is for BBE, and it often is our
Brandy.
go-to. And Brandy. So,
And
for
Brandy
Brandy.
Berry Benson.
so we go for B. We're there. 3 for
Yeah,
3. Come on.
I'm
Well,
gonna go for B.
It's a clean sweep, you guys.
Yay!
Excellent. Well, now we can just,
Well, what part of that was what was false? What was absolutely false?
Charles IX stealing them from Catherine de Medici. Yeah. So that is quite unlike him.
Yeah. They were just made for him, right?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure.
I think the set was because she was at the time the ruler, and then they were, when he became ruler, passed down to him.
I see. They were.
Yeah.
Cool.
That's how I understand the story. Some musicologists could come on here and if you're out there, correct me all you want. That's great. All right.
Okay. Allison, I feel like she gave you like 2 softies at the beginning because you just seem to just know them immediately. And usually Brandy's like way of doing this is she'll change the date by like a year or something, and like it's just like she changed it by like 2 years or something, and it was like it's knowing you would know.
She must like me better, or she didn't think I would be able to do it. She was like,
or you're just that good, or you're just that good.
No,
Could be that.
Well, the 20th century, the Ellis Peters, it was like, I was like thinking maybe you read, I don't know, I don't know who's read, I haven't read those stories, so that would have thrown me for sure. So.
Yeah. I mean, they're a little bit of a niche. I happen to own like most of them, so
excellent.
But that's a little niche.
Nice, very cool. Well, now we are to the point of BBE Live where we get to just chit chat with you for a bit. Cool. And I don't have to sweat bullets like, did I push this right button right here? But yeah, so anyway, tell us, we'd love to hear, something. I know you actually are part of a program that's airing right now with Les Delices.
Yes, with Les Delices. Mm-hmm. Yeah, my show, Lay of the Fountain. And it's like pre-recorded, and then it like airs. You can, buy a ticket and watch it for like a month or whatever. Anyway, yeah, that was really fun, and it was weird because a lot of the music is sort of has a feel of like a spring concert, and it's about a fountain, and there's like a lot of like imagery of spring. And we recorded it in December in the middle of like a snowstorm. So anyway, they like overlaid beautiful projections of like from medieval manuscripts of like springtime, and there's like all these beautiful pictures of trees and like bunnies hopping around. But if you look in like through the windows in the background, you can see there is like snow on the ground. So it's a little funny.
The bunnies were playing in the snow,
Yeah.
Well, I was going to ask, they weren't really hopping around. They were like on snails and like attacking people with like swords and spears, probably, right?
Exactly. Conquering their castles, laying siege. Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
exactly. Oh, that's awesome. Well, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, and what was, like the experience or, just how,
It
I
was
mean, because the
good.
pandemic has definitely changed a lot of things for us and caused us to think a little bit differently about performances. What were some of your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean it was I felt very safe. Like they made sure that we were very safe and everyone got like tested and they only had 2 people come in from out of town because they were worried about like people coming from lots of places and we like masked the whole time until the actual recording. And we were like distanced, but like obviously performing for a camera crew and standing so far away from each other is really not ideal. That's not my idea of why I play music. And yeah, so I mean, you get a tiny bit of like audience interaction because they do like a live Q&A after the premiere, but you don't get to see anyone's faces, and the only way you know who's there is if they decide to comment, then you like see their comments, but like it's just not the same. So yeah, I miss it. I miss like playing, and it's just hard to make music so far away from each other and feel like nervous about being closer together. I don't like that.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah.
I was going
But
to
I was
ask, like, if it doesn't sound dull. I was going to ask if it felt kind of like at this point in the game, does it feel a little normalized? But it sounds like it still doesn't feel normal to you at all.
no, at least here in Cleveland, people aren't really playing a lot of live concerts, and the ones that there are, it's very few people. They're very spread out. There's little to no audience. So I don't know what things are like there, but yeah, we're still.
Yeah, I mean, I would wonder myself. We haven't actually performed live here. It's mostly been
Right.
virtual things. So,
Yeah.
but a lot of it too is just venue, just having access to venues at all.
Yep.
That feel
That's
cool.
such a problem. I know. Like I had to make some recordings recently for like applications, and I was like, I don't have access to any rooms. Like I teach at Case Western and we have rooms, but like you can only be in there for an hour at a time, and like booking them is really complicated. So I was making recordings starting at like 10 o'clock at night in the garage when my landlords had gone to bed because I live like over the garage. So I'd wait till they went to bed and then I'd like put on like a little space heater trying to like heat the space up so that my fingers weren't like frozen and start recording at like 10 o'clock at night. Yeah, not ideal.
Yeah, for
But
sure. Oh my
things you
God.
have to do.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, that's so true. Cool.
Yeah.
Well, I also would love to hear like how you came to, like when was your first experience with period instruments? Like, and how did you come to, pick up the VL and then the Rebecca after that? And,
Yeah. My parents actually went to some early music concerts when they were in school, like in grad school. And I think the first one they saw was the Waverly Consort. And I found out like a few years ago that Adam Gilbert was actually playing in that concert. I
really,
was like chatting with him and mentioned this, and he was like, "What year was that? I was used to play with them." So pretty sure he was playing in that concert that they saw. And that was the first time that they were like, "Oh, this early music like could actually sound good." Like my mom had been a music major, but like all the recordings they listened to were like super old school. Everything was like slow and not really beautiful. So anyway, my parents like listened to a certain amount of early music, and I don't know, I grew up going to like concerts by Hesperus and the Baltimore Consort and Anonymous Four and the Waverly Consort, a lot of like Renaissance music actually. But I also like played violin, and I didn't really know like how to get from like Suzuki violin to like that. Like those people seemed so far removed, and I didn't actually know anyone who played that repertoire. And anyway, when I went to college, I knew like I want to get close to this. I want to find a place that I can like start doing it, but I don't know where that is and I don't know who to ask. And anyway, in undergrad, I did get to play in a collegium just for 1 year at University of Maryland. And then it died like at the end of that year and it's never been resurrected. Uh, but we did a Buxtehude project one semester, just like on modern instruments with Baroque bows that they gave us, and like zero knowledge about what we were doing. It was just like, here's music, here's a bow, like play. I'm like, okay, I don't know what I'm doing. And then we also did like a Iberian, like 13th, 14th century program, and I got to play rebec for the first time. They just like dug out this weird little case out of the closet and were like, here's this instrument, like play this. And the guy who like directed it was a singer, like a really great singer, but knew nothing about the rebec. And he was just like, I don't really know how you tune it or what you do, just like go figure it out. So I was like, okay. Anyway, that was my first introduction to like medieval and getting to play an instrument other than like the violin. And I loved it, even though it was like crazy and I had no idea what was happening. So
I just see him like giving you some kind of medieval manuscript and saying, "Here, try to imitate what this person."
yeah, it was such a like I don't know, there were 20 people or something, and like everyone was playing. There was like a shawm playing with like rebecs and a harp, and like a bunch of singers, and it was just like, yeah, kind of your typical collegium experience where you just have everyone thrown in, and they're all kind of like, I'm not sure why I'm here, but this is fun. So, yeah. Anyway, that was my introduction. So, and I've loved it ever since.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, and were your parents like musicians as well? I mean, like to go. I just know my parents wouldn't have just been like, "Yeah, let's go to an early music concert." You know,
Yeah,
that took
yeah.
yeah. So.
My mom is a pianist and organist and choir director, and my dad just loves music. He likes to sing, but he's not like a musician, but he loves music. So there was like always music on in our house, and frequently was early music, also like old jazz from like before the 50s. Like yeah, a variety of things, classical, a lot of like symphonies and stuff, you know.
So wait, after this whole experience, right? Like I remember the time when somebody said something to me and it turned me off to early music for a couple of years, just flat out. But after this, like sort of like, here, do this, and then you had that experience. Why did that not scare you away? Like what? How did you keep going beyond that?
I mean, I think I really love the like figure it outness of early music. And I think I hated being constantly told like here's exactly what to do, play this note in exactly this way at exactly this time and vibrate at this speed. Like I wanted to like be able to figure things out and try things and experiment with like improvisation. I love improvising, and I did some improvisation like in that program. I had no idea what I was doing, but like it was so fun to like be set free, like all the barriers removed and like just figure something out and like make a musical choice. Like I don't know, it was really freeing. So, and I still really enjoy that. Yeah.
Did you keep the rebec, or did you get one? How did you get your rebec?
I had to give it back because it belonged to the school, and I think it's still sitting like in its little box in a closet in the basement, and no one's touched it since. I know, so sad, poor baby. And then when I came to Case Western to actually like study historical performance, they have a lovely little rebec, which was actually made by the Dolmetsch. Well, it says it was made by Dolmetsch himself, but I think it was probably like from his workshop or something. Anyway, from like the 60s or 70s, it's been here for like a long time, and no one knows how it got here. And I love it. It's like a really quirky, weird little instrument, but I had to give it back when I graduated because, you know, there are still students there who need to use it. So I bought my own from Kate McWilliams at Unprofitable Instruments.
Oh, nice.
And yeah, yeah. And that's fun. And now I like coach the Collegium at Case Western. So I still get to see the instrument all the time and I get to convince my students to play it and like encourage them to find its quirky, weird voice. And so that's fun.
That's fun. That's cool.
Yeah.
And then was it a similar kind of path to the VL as well? And
Yeah, you would have thought that VL would come first, but I guess that U Maryland just didn't own a VL. So like that's why I started with Revec. It's kind of a weird way to get into medieval music, I think, but I actually ended up having my Revec made for me right after I graduated from undergrad because I didn't know what was happening yet. And I ended up doing like a master's in viola actually next. But I was also like, I want to keep doing medieval music. How do I make this happen? So I went and like got myself a Revec. I was like, maybe someone will play with me if I own one. um, it didn't exactly work until I came to Case, but yeah, so the VL I really didn't get to try until I came to Case Western, and I like knew it existed. I was like excited to try one, but Case owns like four, kind of three functioning and like two less functioning. So that was exciting though to like start experiencing the world of VL. And like VLs are all so different from each other that like each one you play is really its own whole experience and you just have to figure out how to approach that instrument. It's its own thing. So, yeah.
Which
Yeah.
one's your favorite to play, or do you like the variety of going between the different instruments?
I love variety. Variety is super fun. I play some like harp, not very well, and I play
Ooh.
some psaltery, even worse. And I sing a little bit. It's like so fun to dabble. I'm kind of a dabbler. And to like find different ways of bringing out like different voices that you want to hear. I get bored with just one thing. I want to hear different sounds and I want to make those sounds. Um, so yeah, I really like them all. I do have a special place in my heart for the Rebec. I think especially because nobody else really loves it the way I do. So I'm always trying to convince people to let me play the Rebec, and it don't always succeed. But anyway, I
nice.
try. Yeah.
That's super cool. Yeah,
Yeah.
and I might add that you do have a nice voice. So,
Oh, thanks.
yeah. I got to experience that on it was when you were here in Chicago. So
Yeah.
pre-pandemic, of course, but
Yes.
yeah, with the Newberry. But
Mm-hmm.
that's super cool.
Yeah.
So what's in the immediate or nearish or maybe even further future?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not totally sure. Everything feels kind of new and it feels like everything's sort of starting over and like in some ways there could be all sorts of new possibilities. I don't know. We'll see. See what happens. Currently planning to keep teaching at Case, which is great. I have a medieval group that's based here in Cleveland. We're called Trobar. And we haven't done any live things in like over a year. So we're planning a season next year, which is great. And right now we're actually working on some outreach programming. We haven't really gotten to do any outreach stuff yet, but we're very excited about that. So we are writing basically like a little skit that's based on a 13th century story called the Asinarius. It's about a donkey who loves music, and in the story he plays the lute, but we don't play the lute, so we changed it to harp. So in our story he plays the harp, and then he goes on like a journey away from home, and then he ends up turning into a man at the end of the story, and sort of about like finding yourself. And anyway, so we're sort of shaping that for kids. Yeah, and hoping to do some performances this summer, and then hoping to do it for kids in schools in the fall. So yeah,
That sounds really cool. That's awesome.
yeah, it'll be
It's always fun
fun.
when you can make a version for the youth, to engage with as well, and oftentimes like super inspiring too, what they're able
Yeah.
to come up with, and
Yeah.
interact with. So
Yeah.
very cool.
I can't wait to do it for them because I have all these ideas about like what the story means and what you can get from it and how you can enjoy the musical elements, but like I think they'll have their own take on it and I'm excited to see that. So
Yeah. And you guys are playing like medieval instruments for them. So that, I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I definitely did not see any medieval music or
Nope.
instruments like
no,
when I was
no.
in, you know, when I was in any school. I mean, I don't think I even saw a Rebecca in person the whole time I was in college. So,
Wow. Yeah.
so
Yeah. Well, music history is so often taught as like from a textbook and it seems very far away, seems very foreign and like if you hear recordings, they don't seem particularly like inspiring a lot of the time and you don't actually see the instruments or the people making the music. It's hard to like connect with it. So,
yeah,
yeah,
that's true.
that
Well,
needs to
and then-
change.
yeah, and there's all sorts of medieval fusion stuff out there too, which is really cool.
Yeah, sure. There's tons of that. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome. Well, any final parting words, or if anybody, either of you guys have parting questions for Allison? I mean, um, yeah,
I was glad to be here. Thanks for having me. It's fun.
It was fun to have you.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, it was really fun. Thanks for jumping in with the technological adventure we had today.
Yeah, no problem.
We were kind of joking, like this would be like a period version of BBE Live if you did for yourself a year ago when we were all figuring out this whole online thing, for the pandemic. So,
Definitely.
but there you go. But I
Yeah.
think it worked great. Well, cool. Well, thank you, Allison. It's always
Thank
a pleasure to see you, hang with you, hear about all the cool things that you're up to. And for those of you out there that are watching right now, feel free, of course, to watch the replay. But then, we'll be back next week with another violinist. This is the month of special guest violinists, and Allison has been gracious enough to kick this off for us. So we will see y'all next week. And with that, here is a little outro.
Nottingham Mail, boys, Nottingham Mail. No liquor on earth is like Nottingham Mail. Nottingham Mail, boys, Nottingham Mail. No liquor on earth is like Nottingham Mail.